Like now, Gear 5 is not just a transformation. It's um it's almost like an emotion. So before we jump into One Piece chapter 1106 review, I want to just make some quick comments on chapter 1105 since I didn't do a reaction / review. So definitely the community consensus was that most people believed the Blackbeard pirates were gonna roll up. I think everyone's really just anticipating what they're gonna do, and I was in that camp, being either Blackbeard or Dragon as my top two options for who's gonna show up. Of course, that didn't happen in this chapter, and that got me thinking, okay, so if that's not how they're gonna show up, maybe they're not gonna play the part or role that we think, where it's going to be something flashy and crazy going on right in our faces. Amidst all this chaos, the Blackbeard pirates are usually very intentional about what they do and how they operate, so they wouldn't come to Egghead just to come to Egghead, unless there's something they wanted to specifically do or take advantage of. And so my thoughts around that are, why would they come and what can they gain from coming to Egghead? So I think why they would come is all of the chaos. There's a lot going on. It's a government island. Sure, there's got to be something there. What is exactly? I've kind of narrowed it down to maybe 2 or 3 potential options. My first option, and what I think they'll salvage from this, is York. If you think about what Egghead is centered around, it's Vegapunk. Almost every party there is there to handle business with Vegapunk. There's the government business, they want to execute him, that's why CP0's there, that's why Saturn's there, that's why the Marine's there, so that's their dynamic. And there's Bonney, who of course had the dynamic with Kuma that she was looking to resolve. You have the Straw Hats, who are of course the main characters, so while they didn't have a direct dynamic, they just ended up on that island. We all know that their purpose there is now to save Vegapunk. So if you think about all the Vegapunks that have been accounted for, York is kind of the one that's in the weirdest position, given the events that she stirred. The Straw Hats probably aren't going to save her. They have no reason to save her. We haven't seen her in a while. CP0 is kind of handled right now, occupied. I think Kaku is still in the bubble, and Lucy, of course, is fighting Zoro. And then the other Vegapunks are either with the Straw Hats or on the main floor with the Marines and such. So I think York would be a great candidate to be taken. They'd be good value for the Blackbeard pirates to barter with. The other 2 options are whatever scientific things they may be looking after, whether it's I doubt it's the reactor or whatnot, but that could play a role, or maybe even the Seraphim. But I think they might have challenges transporting them in the bubble, since almost all, if not all, the Blackbeard pirates are Devil Fruit users. But yeah, those are my quick thoughts on that. I just wanted to address that very quickly, and now we can jump into chapter 1106. Alright, so we're jumping into One Piece chapter 1106 review. First thing I'll do is talk about the cover page. So we got Robin dressing a crocodile in designer clothes. Of course, the play is on Lacoste clothing. Definitely clothing that's not within my budget, but I thought it looked great on the crocodile. I'm certainly not as engaged in the cover stories. I love when the cover stories are actually more about the story rather than these random fan requests, but I thought it was pretty cool. Robin, of course, has great taste. Shout out, let me know what you think Robin's best outfit was. For me, I'm going to have to go Water 7. The black leather just reminded me of Anne Hathaway from The Dark Knight Rises, Catwoman. And we'll leave it at that. So, jumping into the review, I'm just going to keep leaning on this dashboard. I have made a few tweaks. I hope you guys like the kind of scribble-scrabble I did of Broggy for the word cloud here. I'm trying to be a little bit creative, but I do have some ideas on how I'm going to continue to enhance this. So what I've done actually for the text analysis, rather than just looking at the straight bigrams because I wasn't getting too much, I actually kind of started to filter out parts of speech. So you can see over here we have this part of speech filter where we can select the different parts of speech to illustrate the bigram. So using that, we're going to go through these bigrams, and I'm just going to kind of give you my quick takes on some of the comments that we're seeing. All right, so right off the bat, you can see one of the main adjective noun phrases that we're seeing. So that's an adjective followed by a noun is the void sentry. I think the final panels where we saw the giant robot has everyone thinking or conversing about the void sentry, exactly who created the giant robot, probably the D family. What was the giant robot programmed to do? Why was it 200 years ago that it attacked? Was it created in the void century 800 years ago? And what role will it play now? I think with the giants coming, given that they are older living beings, your average giant, 100 years isn't necessarily old. We'll probably get a lot more information about the void century because whatever folklore or tales is passed down should be much less watered down than that race given their average lifespan. So that's kind of my take on the void century right here. We didn't really get too many answers for it, but that's how I can see that being a topic of conversation. From there, we have the tame problem. So that was, of course, Vegapunk's description of the Buster Call, and that kind of correlates with my initial sentiment about the Buster Call. Well, I said I didn't really think that would be like the defining conflict, and in ways, it's already not being the defining conflict, given some of the events that happened in this chapter with the authority chip being overridden or by Bonney, and then you also have the Giants coming, who are coming to kind of fight off some of those ships. So I can see it being not as scalable as the previous Buster Calls, and I think that will actually be better for the story because, seeing it 3 times essentially, it just doesn't have the same effect. Then we have the ancient robot, so I touched on that with the Void Sentry. Then we have the first time. So Bonnie seeing her god, Nika, Gear 5th, Luffy, for the first time. Those panels I felt were really cathartic, and I think Oda did and has done a really good job with Bonnie's character and kind of communicating different emotional states. I think he's kind of easier to do that because she essentially is a child in a grown person's body. So usually as you get older, you may be a little bit more stoic in your personality. But because of that, it's kind of like the same dynamic with Momo if you think about it. Like the personality traits are a little bit more innocent and kind of pure. So it's easier to kind of convey different emotions. But yeah, the panel of Bonnie seeing Nika, just kind of her realizing the rhythm of the drums of liberation, looking up and seeing Gear 5 Luffy. I think it was a much more powerful moment. Like, I definitely enjoyed this moment of Gear 5. Probably my most favorite so far. It just felt like it had so much more weight. Like, if this was the first time Luffy went Gear 5, rather than what happened on Wano and Rooftop, it would change the whole dynamic. Like, now Gear 5 is not just a transformation, it's almost like an emotion, so to say. So yeah, I think that was probably my favorite part of the chapter, and yeah, so that's Bonnie's first time. I'm gonna skip next week because we have a break. The entire island shaking. I think I was wondering what the entire island is shaking, or thoughts on that. My thought is, I think, so if you notice when Luffy's going Gear 5, he's definitely making the place rubbery. So I think that ability of his awakening is probably expanding. He's gaining more control of that, and that could definitely play a role in how they actually escape the island. But that's my thoughts on the entire island. I don't think it'll be blown up in the way, maybe the nuclear reaction will be that kind of catalyst to make it blow up, but not the Buster Call. So what else we have here? I'm going to highlight some cool ones. We have big news. We're still working towards what Big News Morgans is going to report. I don't think we've had that event yet, but we're definitely getting closer. Little Guarding, of course, being the first time we see Dory and Broggy. Absolute banger. Great way to describe the chapter. Big Mom. I think a lot of the community is kind of in favor of Big Mom being an antagonist in Elbaf. I'm not sure about that. I just also don't see why revisiting an old antagonist would be a climactic way. Like, I can't see her being the focus or a focus in Elbaf. I think there will be callbacks and references, but her being like a focal point character, I just think it would be weird because we had our conflict with her in Whole Cake Island, and then it continued into Wano. So to have like this kind of shorter arc-ish in Egghead and then go to Elbaf, which I don't think will be there for too long as well, with a vocal point on Big Mom, I just think there's a lot better stuff to explore and focus on. So I don't agree with that. Luffy's at full power. The main tree, I think everyone's talking about the Atom Tree. So that'll be great. I think now everyone's ready to get to Elbaf. Like, we're at the point where it's like, all right, Egghead's peak. Let's keep it peak, but like, let's end it, and then let's keep the momentum going in Elbaf. And then we have the Ultimate Authority, of course, being Bonney. That was a nice cop-out. I think stuff like that, it's easy for Oda to kind of write in. It doesn't really have too much material story impact, but it's easy for him if he needs to navigate certain situations. And it makes Vegapunk look like a genius. Now we're going to jump into noun phrases really quickly. So the Buster Call, I've kind of communicated my thoughts on that. I don't think it's going to be like the impact that it should have. I guess people are thinking about the Straw Hat Grand Fleet. It wasn't them. A living memory. I'm not so sure what a living memory is, but maybe I think people might think Kuma, although he's essentially a vegetable, are his memories intact somehow? Is he somehow tapping into those? Or maybe a living memory for Bonney? I'm not sure about that. Let me know your thoughts below. Also, if you're enjoying the content, please like the video and subscribe for more One Piece analytics. I put a lot of effort into creating all these different analysis, dashboards and such, and I have a lot of awesome ideas that I'm working on, so I really appreciate it if you could subscribe and like the video, and also comment to get the community engagement. We have the bounty poster. So this I think is a great point. The Giants were really quick to recognize that this was Nika. Like, there was no doubt about it. That's how they definitely saw the relating Luffy to Nika is the bounty poster, and then the news about Luffy being there, which got me thinking, what other races are going to be very quick to put the dots? Like, Bonney and Vegapunk, they had to see it for their own eyes, but the tribes and the races where this is kind of what they have been waiting for, it's definitely not going to take long for them to realize that Nika has returned. So you have the Giants, you probably have the Fishmen, you may even have the Minks. It's interesting because of the stance of who Momo is, and we don't know, the relationship exactly between Wano and Nika, but there probably was some ties there. Will they be able to realize it? It'd have to be, I forget Odin's father's name, but he would have to probably be the one, since he would know that kind of folklore. Maybe now Dory and Broggy will get updated bounties since the Marines have confirmed they're alive. That'll be interesting. Then we have the command chain, thus referencing the authority chip. Again, easy way for Oda to write in like clever geniuses, but yeah. So let's see. We got Vegapunk, brain. Is Vegapunk hiding his brain? Okay. We have some here. Let's see. Switch side, obviously the pacifista. So my thoughts on that were, as Egghead progressed, I increasingly thought Bonney would join the crew, and I said the only way that she could not travel with the Straw Hats were if she would have some protection, and that'd have to be probably in the form of either S-Bear, because we were told that he was acting up, or Kuma, but he's a vegetable now. So the closest thing to that would be the pacifistas, but I don't know if they'll make it out of the island. I feel like there'll be collateral damage. The more and more this story progresses, it's like the world government is more and more inclined to kind of sacrifice a lot of their gains just to try to eliminate this, and ultimately they'll probably end up in a lose-lose situation where they don't take out all of the Vegapunks, they don't take out Nika, and they don't take out the Buccaneers. People are still hoping for Dragon. I could see Dragon coming. Maybe he'll be the one to take Kuma and Vegapunk. But yeah, so I think we spent enough time there. That was pretty good. I think it's better than the original format, so now we can jump into the word cloud, the Broggy word cloud. See what we have here. I'm going to expand it just to make it a little bit more visible. So obviously right off the bat we have some of the main themes. Luffy, of course. Dory and Broggy showing up. The pacifistas changing sides. Big News Morgans. Everyone, I can't wait for the Big News Morgans episode where he starts going crazy, because he loves this. He's waiting for it. The giant tree. I think everyone wants some more lore about the Atom Tree. Or I forget if it's the Atom Tree or the other one. Let's see. The Buster Claw, the ships, rubber. I like the way Luffy's rubber was working in this chapter. Like that fist that hit Kizaru. I mean, I gotta say, Kizaru is ready to take some PTO. He just does not look like he wants to be there. He's kind of taking L's. Like, he's not like a major L's, but these little, we got Nika, the Authority Chip. I saw Bonney. Let's see. Elbaf. We're all waiting for it. What else do we have? Any more? The power of Nika, Void Sentry. The Marines. I think Marines are taking Mad Elves. Memory. Cool. I think that's for this one. While the chapter was great, the emphasis was clear on certain things, so I thought that was good. And then now here I have just kind of some high. I ranked the sentiment of the word, so I didn't like the way the sentiment stuff was working in the previous format, so I kind of changed it. So we'll see. If you had to pick one adjective to describe this chapter, what would it be? Would it be glorious, great, beautiful, super, amazing, brilliant, lovely, benevolent, happy, perfect? I would probably choose... I don't know. I would say... I think benevolent is a good word. But final thoughts, I thought it was great. Some questions I do want to explore very quickly are the topic of human. Nika definitely wasn't a human. The Marines referenced Luffy, is he even human? Excited to learn more about that, maybe in Elbaf, exactly what Nika was. Moving on from that, something that started to annoy me is just Sanji doesn't really seem to know what he's doing or what he wants to do. He wants to protect Bonney, but he's not directly confronting. He's just kind of in between, so I think he just kind of needs to be a little bit more decisive. What else do I have here? The test for Saturn continues to grow. He shows his character more and more every chapter. I do think it was a good moment of what happened to Vegapunk with the consequences. I do think that keeps the tension of the story high. We saw the other Vegapunks get taken out, some other ones, but I think it's good for the story that he takes kind of a puncture wound. Will he die from it? I don't know. Maybe I can see him and Kuma kind of being saved by Dragon, Dragon swooping in, leaving. Because old man Vegapunk, his dynamic with the Straw Hats, I don't know how great that will be, but I can see the other ones Lilith fitting in better. So wanted to touch on that very quickly. Again, I think this had a lot of emotion in it. I felt I was there. I'm ready to go to Egghead and save Nika. And then, of course, we have the hype between Dory and Broggy. Giants are back in town. We have the apathetic Kizaru. And yeah, that's kind of my thoughts, reaction to One Piece Chapter 1106. Let me know how you thought it. Again, if you liked the video, smash the like button. If you're looking for more dynamic One Piece content which blends analytics and anime, again, I encourage you to subscribe. And until next time, catch you out.